Hello and welcome. Let us now look at data preprocessing. Data preprocessing is the process of making raw data to clean data. This is the most crucial part of data analysis and BI. Let us start by exploring the data. Remember that we read data set and initialized it as DF. This was the data first. The first data we read from CSV file. You can look and see that the data remains the same as we read it. We have transaction date, transaction ID, gender, etc, etc, up to amount spent. Then using the df.head, five rows, we get the first 5 rows. Then we can use the tail and get the last 15. We had already covered this. Let's now look at how to randomly select, let's say, 10 samples from the data. We have 10 samples. The first one is 2419. That is the index, and 1. We have 1 and we have 10. And please check this. And this again, we are going to have different data entries in this case, because this is a random sampled 10. The function randomly samples 10 entries. That is 10 rows. Then let's look at how to retrieve information about the data. The data frame, we are going to use .info. .info is a very simple function that gives us the information about our data frame. We have, it's from the pandas, and we have the data columns. We have 11, total 11 columns, 0 to 10. And this is the columns. We have null count. Data type, we have object, we have integer 64, object, int, float, and so on and so forth. And the data types are float, 3 of them, integers, 1, objects, 7. The memory usage in this case is 216 kilobytes. We also use data types to see the data types. Just as above, we have object, integer, object, and so on and so forth, up to float and float. Then we can also use df.dtypes.value count. Then using this, we'll get this information. We already got this information from here. We have 7 objects, 3 float, and 1. Then we can display the rows and columns using the shape function. That is how many rows, how many columns do we have. Then we can list the number of columns. In this case, we have 11 columns, and the LS shown below. We can select specific columns. In this case, let's start by age. We can view the first, let's say, 10 entries of age. We have 19, the first, and the 10th is 41. We can also select the segment. Let's see what segment do we have. We have basic, we have platinum, and we have this. And also we can select amount spent and insert it at that point, and we'll have the amount spent. Then let's move forward to look at how to display photos of age, transaction, and so on and so forth. Here we go. We can select the photos. We have age, transaction date, gender. We have 0 to 3. That is the index. We can change these and make them, let's say, 7. The first 7 rows of these columns. We can also change the columns to any of these, or we can also add any of the columns. Let's see if we add, when we add these, what will we get? And yeah, we have added marital status. Therefore, we can add any column that we need, just entering it here. Note the function is df, then we have the brackets, then square brackets, then another square bracket, then we have the columns, close the brackets, and then header. We can also have tail, yeah, to show the last 7 entries. Let's start by showing the first command. We have from the 2nd to the 6th. We have selected the 2nd entry to the 6th. We can also change that to 10th or any number that we need. Actually, this is from the 3rd. Yeah, this is from the 3rd, considering the indexing. We can show from 0 to 11th. This is 0 to 10th. Yeah, this is 0 to 10th to 6th, and so on and so forth. We can also show the first 11 rows using these. Let's see. Yeah, we have the first, actually the first 11. We have 0 to 10, that's 11 entries. We can also move forward and show the last 2 using the negative indexing method. That is, we are using -2. We can also select and use -20 to show the last 20. Let me now introduce you to filtering the data frames using the log and ilog. This is basically 2 methods, one used for each used for indexing, one based on labels, and the second one used based on the index. I personally like to use the log method as the location method, because it helps you to locate specific entries that you are interested in. For example, the log method is primarily used for label indexing, meaning it selects the data based on rows and columns labels. It is used to in the format of df.log, rows, then columns, where df is the data frame. To select specific rows based on this method, we are going to type df log 1 to 10. That is, we are locating the first to the 3rd index of our data. That is, we are going to note that in indexing, when you are using the indexing method, know that we always start with a 0 and move forward. In this case, 0 to 3, we are going to index the first 4. 0 to 4, we are going to index the first 5. Note that we can use the rows labels in cases where we have the labels. That is, we are using the labels, not the real names. Please note, in each function, we have a column that is used to separate between the rows and the columns. Note that we are selecting gender to segment. We can change that to select referrals as the last column in our case. So we'll have gender as the first and referral as the last. And we are selecting all the rows. To further filter our data, we can specify the specific rows we want and the specific columns we want. In this case, we can select from the 1st to the 4th, and then gender to segment using the log method df.log, square brackets, specify the rows, then specify the columns. Yeah, we can also add more rows by selecting up to the 11th. Yeah, we can also add up to let's see, referrals And here we go. There we go. We have a gender to refer rows. We can select any columns or rows that we need in our analysis. Then let's move forward to the iLook method. It selects data based on the integer position of the row and columns. It uses the format df iLook.rows columns. The first to the fourth, here we go. We have 0 to 1. We can also select from 0, index 0 to fourth index. There we go. It's basically the same, but now we are using the integer indexing method. Then, similar case, we are going to use numbers, that is integer indexing, rather than the labels. In this case, we are selecting the first 3. You can also expand this to show from the 3rd to the 7th. Yeah, from age to segment. Similarly, we can select both columns and rows in our analysis and specify which we want. We can have from the second one, from the 3rd row, from the 3rd column to, let's say, the 6th. Yeah, and show that data. We have gender, age, marital status, state name.